Miss Miser, you may proceed when ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mia.
Good morning.
Could you please state and spell the name under which you are testifying?
Mia. M-I-A.
Mia, have you been asked to testify under a pseudonym to protect your privacy?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 3T113, just for the witness only.
Miss Comey, is there an issue?
I just wanted to make sure that the screens in the overflow room are turned off for this exhibit, Your Honor, only.
Can I ask the deputy, is there a way to confirm that?
That is confirmed, Your Honor, so long as the monitor is also disabled.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Miss Miser?
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you see that, Mia?
Yes.
Do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
My passport.
Your Honor, the government offers Government Exhibit 3T113 under seal pursuant to the court's pseudonym order.
3T113 will be admitted under seal.
Mia, is the name on this exhibit your true name?
Yes.
Is the date of birth on this exhibit your true date of birth?
Yes.
And before we move on, could you please display that for the jury only?
May I ask a question, Your Honor?
Do you need a sidebar, or can you ask this question in open court?
I believe so. It's not on our monitor either.
Yes, that's correct. Do you need me to see it?
I would like to. I know what it is, this one, but I would like to in the future, yes.
Do we have a copy of it?
I have an iPad that I can provide to Mr. Steele that will have it. I'll put it up for him now if Mr. Steele is okay with us proceeding while I do that.
Miss Miser?
Thank you, Your Honor. You can take that down now. Mia, where are you from?
Virginia Beach, Virginia.
How far did you go in school?
Bachelor's degree.
What was your degree in?
Studio art.
I'm going to show you what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 2A101. It's fine to reconnect the feed. Do you recognize who's depicted here?
Yes.
Who is that?
Sean Combs.
Do you know Mr. Combs by any other names?
Yes.
What names do you know him by?
P. Diddy. Diddy. Puff Daddy. Puffy. Puff. PD. Mr. C.
What did you call him?
Puff.
How do you know Mr. Combs?
I worked for him.
When you worked for him, did Mr. Combs give you one title or more than one title?
More than one.
How many?
2.
What were those 2 titles?
Personal assistant and then director of development and acquisitions for Revolt Films.
We will discuss each of those roles in a moment, Mia, but first, at a high level, could you describe what the work environment was like when you were working for Mr. Combs?
It was chaotic. Could be toxic, it could be exciting. The highs were really high and the lows were really, really low.
What determined what environment was like on a particular day?
Pup's mood.
How often did Mr. Combs' mood shift?
All the time.
You can take that down now, Ms. Foster. Mia, was Mr. Combs ever violent toward you?
Yes.
What are some of the violent things that Mr. Combs has done to you?
He has thrown things at me. He's thrown me against the wall. He's thrown me into a pool. He's thrown an ice bucket on my head. He slammed my arm into a door. He's also sexually assaulted me.
Did Mr. Combs sexually assault you on one occasion or more than one occasion?
More than one.
We will talk about this violence in more detail later, Mia. Before we get there, I want to talk a little about your work experience before getting a job with Mr. Combs. What were your career goals when you left college?
I really loved storytelling and film and TV, especially comedy, and I really wanted to be a writer and a performer, but I didn't know how to do that because this was like a different era before social media or iPhones or access. So I thought I could just put a mattress on top of my car and move to New York City and get a job somehow in the entertainment industry and work really, really, really hard. And maybe in like 10 years, I would have had the education and experience to navigate that world to make whatever those dreams were come true.
At some point, did there come a time when you got a job in the entertainment industry?
Yes.
Where was that for initially?
First was for Georgina Chapman, who was the owner and designer of Marchesa.
Who were Georgina Chapman's clients?
It was like all red carpet celebrity dressing.
Where did you work next?
I worked with the comedian Mike Myers.
What did you do for Mike Myers?
I was his personal assistant.
Who did you work for after Mike Myers?
Puff.
Approximately when did you begin working for Mr. Combs?
2009.
In what year did you leave Mr. Combs' companies?
2017.
How old were you when you applied to work for him?
When I applied, I was either 25 or just turned 26.
Where were you living at the time?
In New York City.
Where was Mr. Combs' business located then?
He was also in New York City.
What were the steps in the hiring process?
I met with a recruiter multiple times, and then I had multiple interviews with the head of HR, Vashta Wilson. Then after that, I had an interview with his chief of staff and executive assistant and head of personal finance.
Who was his chief of staff at the time?
Her name was Ellie Nieves.
What about the executive assistant?
Curleen Roy.
Finally, who was the person in personal finance?
Tony Baez Fletcher.
Ms. Foster, could you please pull up what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 2A305? Who is this, Mia?
That's Tony Baez Fletcher.
Did Miss Fletcher have any other titles when you were there?
Yes.
What?
Chief of staff.
You can take that down, Miss Foster. Mia, were you ever interviewed by Mr. Combs himself?
Yes.
Where did the interview take place?
At his apartment.
Did anyone accompany you to his apartment?
Yes.
Who?
Vashta Wilson.
The head of human resources?
Yes.
What happened when you got to Mr. Combs' apartment?
He answered the door on the phone.
Who answered the door?
Sorry, Puff.
What was he wearing when he answered the door?
His underwear.
What did Vashta do when Mr. Combs answered the door in his underwear?
She just introduced me and then left.
Did Mr. Combs eventually put on clothes?
Yes.
Who else was around for the interview?
Derek, his stylist at the time, was in the apartment.
What's Derek's last name?
Roche.
Did you ultimately get the job?
Yes.
How did you feel about getting the job?
I was so excited I was so excited. So nervous, and just really eager and excited, I guess.
When you took the job, how much did you expect to work?
I was explained that it would be a lot. There were a few jokes about 24-hour nail salons thrown in, but I guess I didn't fully understand. Yeah, I did expect to work more than an average job.
Did you expect to work 24/7?
I thought that was probably physically impossible, but yes. So not literally, but
How much had you worked for Mike Myers?
he also said 24/7, but really maybe every once in a while I would get a call at 7 o'clock, or maybe on the weekends I would have to watch his dog, but it was pretty much 10 to 6 every day, Monday through Friday.
Were you supposed to have any days off with Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Did you expect to work on the weekends?
Not every weekend. I thought there would be a rotation of assistants, but I didn't expect not to work at all on weekends, if that makes sense.
What was your base salary when you started as a personal assistant?
Well, I was told it was $55,000, but then it turned out to actually be $50,000.
And when you started the job, how many hours a week did you understand you were expected to work to earn your salary?
40.
How often did you work more than 40 hours a week?
Every week.
And how were you supposed to be compensated when you worked more than 40 hours a week?
Paid overtime.
I want to talk about your first day at work, Mia. What's the first thing you did on your first day of work for Mr. Combs?
I went to the office, and Vashta told me that I probably wouldn't see Puff for the next 2 weeks while I was on trial, and I was going to get accustomed to the office and sort of all the things that went into making his life run smooth.
Let me pause you there, Mia. You said while you were on trial. What do you mean by that?
Vashta had said that there were so many people vying for this position that they had a trial period that would last 2 weeks to see if you, had what it took, essentially.
And where did Vashta tell you to go?
To his Alpine, New Jersey house.
And what did you do at the Alpine house, just at a high level?
They told me, to do some sort of inventory or take note of what needed attention.
Did you go there?
Yes.
Approximately how long were you at the Alpine house?
I was there all day. I left when it was dark out, but it wasn't super late. Just had been dark out.
And where did you go after the Alpine house?
Back to the office.
And how long were you at the office?
Probably a few hours, or it didn't feel super long, yeah.
And what time is it around this time?
For some reason, I feel like it was maybe 10 o'clock when I left because I was just meeting with new people and learning more stuff.
Where did you go after that?
Home.
Did you make it home?
No.
Why not?
Vashta called me and said that Puff wanted me to come to the studio.
What did you do after you got the call?
I went straight to the studio.
How long were you at the studio?
Until like 1 o'clock the next day in the afternoon.
Did you go home after that? After being at the studio until 1 p.m. the next day?
No.
Where did you go instead?
Puff's apartment.
And what did you have to do there?
I was learning So like his security and his assistants and whoever needed to, whenever Puff was ready to essentially settle in, you went back and made sure and had everything he needed. And they were showing me how you set up and yeah.
And when did you get to go home?
A few hours after that.
How long were you able to be home before you had to return to work?
I don't remember the exact amount of time. I just remember being too nervous to risk it by like taking a nap because the time period wasn't that long. So essentially just to kind of rest and then get ready again.
So Mia, how much did you sleep during your first 24 hours on the job?
I didn't.
What did you think about that?
I sort of took it as like a challenge, or maybe this was just for the trial period, or maybe it was I don't know. It was kind of like, is this how it is? But there had been a TV show 2 years prior called I Want to Work for Diddy, where it looked like this fit the norm. So I don't know. I thought maybe it was part of the trial.
When you were working for Mr. Combs, how often were you required to go without sleep?
All the time.
What, if any, expectations did you have about when you would be able to sleep next?
That was this thing. I didn't. I can usually power through, but I remember when I was younger, waking up for school, being tired, I would be like, okay, Mia, you get out at 3 o'clock, you can sleep then.
Non-responsive, Your Honor.
It's overruled.
You can continue.
I remember thinking let's say I'd been awake for 2 days or something. I didn't have anything to hold on to because I didn't have an idea of when that could happen, when I could go to sleep.
What was the longest period of time you went without sleep because of your work for Mr. Combs?
5 days?
Generally, what were you doing in those 5 days?
Working. We were traveling. I just remember the last part being in Las Vegas. So there was always a million things going on. I remember he had a club appearance, but also had a few impromptu music video sets. So you're running around doing whatever needed to be done.
Next, I want to transition to a new topic. So, Ms. Foster, can you please display what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 2A401? Mia, do you recognize the person depicted here?
Yes.
Who is it?
It's Cassandra Ventura.
Do you know Miss Ventura by any other names?
Yes.
What?
Kathy or Cass.
Is that what you call her?
Yeah, I call her Cass.
How do you know Cassie?
I met her working for Puff.
And how would you describe your relationship with Cassie?
We became like sisters, like best friends.
Are you still friends today?
Yes.
You can take that down, Ms. Foster. When you were working for Mr. Combs, what was your understanding of his relationship with Cassie?
That she was his girlfriend.
How often did you see Cassie and Mr. Combs together when you were working?
All the time.
At a high level, how would you describe their relationship?
It was a cycle of highs and lows. It was unequal, toxic. When I say abusive, I don't mean that she had any, it was abusive towards her.
Was there any violence in the relationship?
Yes.
We'll talk some more about that soon. First, what was Cassie's profession?
She was a recording artist.
In your role as a personal assistant for Mr. Combs, did you have exposure to aspects of Cassie's music career?
Yes.
Generally, what exposure did you have?
All of the executives or people doing business with or for Puff would send all of anytime they needed an answer through me in order to get the answers from him. So I thought all types of correspondence, emails, and I was constantly with him in meetings with her. So I was pretty privy to a lot going on.
From what you saw, what was the relationship between Cassie's music career and Mr. Combs' business?
She was signed to his label.
And what, if any, role did Mr. Combs himself play in her music career?
He was in charge of it.
And what kinds of things did you see Mr. Combs do related to Cassie's career?
He was always made the final decision.
And what kind of final decision did you observe?
That could range anywhere from deciding like what music would be put out, what the visual aspects of any music videos, when she would be in the studio, her appearance, and any sort of shows or appearances or dates or promotions that she would be involved with.
Ms. Foster, could you please display what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 3T107R for the jury? Mia, what are we looking at here?
This is an email from Cass to Puff and a number of executives or people involved in her music career and me.
Okay. Ms. Foster, could you please zoom in on the bottom message? So this says it is from Veronica Bang. Who's that?
It's Cass.
And who did Cassie send this message to?
She sent it to Puff, Gwen Niles, Harvey Pierre, Capricorn Clark, Matthew Testa, James Cruz, and me.
And you said those people were involved in Cassie's music career?
Yes.
When did Cassie send this message?
April 21st, 2012.
At around what time?
It says 7:30, but it was actually like 4:36 in the morning because we were in Los Angeles.
If you know, where was Cassie that night?
My memory, I believe they were at a hotel.
And who was she with at the hotel?
Puff.
Do you have a term for this kind of night from your working with Mr. Combs?
Yeah, we called them hotel nights.
We'll talk some more about hotel nights soon. What are some of the locations after this where you saw or heard violence between Mr. Combs and Cassie?
His houses, her apartments, hotels, events, traveling, on vacation.
Let's talk about a few of those. You mentioned that something violent happened in Cassie's apartment. Is that right?
Yes.
Did that happen one or multiple times?
The time that stands out to me, like I have one. You mean like when I was present?
Yeah. Is there one that sticks out in your mind?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. Which apartment was Cassie living in at the time?
She had an apartment on Doheny in Los Angeles.
When approximately was this? Do you remember?
It was definitely the second LA house when I lived there. I just don't remember the exact year.
At the Beverly Crest houses that you were living at the time?
Yes. Sometime between 2010 and 2014. It would have been earlier than 2014 because she moved into another apartment, I think, in 2013.
What time of day was it when you were in Cassie's apartment that day?
I feel like it was early evening. I think like it was dark out, but it wasn't super late.
Who was all there?
It was me, Cass, and Deontay Nash.
Who's Deontay Nash?
He was her stylist, but also like her friend, but her stylist.
What were you and Cassie and Deontay doing that night?
Helping Cass pack for a big trip. I think it was to London the next morning.
Did there come a time when Mr. Combs came to the apartment?
Yes.
And what happened when he got to the apartment door?
He was like banging on the door, like very irate. I think he had a key.
At some point, did he get inside?
Yes.
Do you remember exactly how he got inside?
I feel like he got a key from the front desk. That's what my feeling is because we had tried to talk to the doorman multiple times.
Objection.
We can move on, Your Honor.
All right.
When Mr. Combs gets into the apartment, what, if anything, was he saying?
He was like screaming at Cass and like screaming, but asking like, have you been screaming? Have you been drinking at her? Because she didn't answer the phone.
How close was he to Cassie when he got into the apartment?
Very close. I'm seated here. My back is to like the balcony, and in front of me, like where you are, is like the entrance to the apartment. And it opens up to like a living area combined with a kitchen. And on where the apartment entrance door is, like where you are, the wall to Cassie's bedroom is, and Cassie was pretty close to the door on that wall. So she was probably like a couple feet from the entrance door to the right, to my right.
What, if anything, did Mr. Combs do when he was yelling about her drinking?
He then came after like me and Deontay and was screaming the same thing, like, has she been drinking? He was super upset. Has she been drinking? And he was like crazy aggressive and he started to attack her.
What did you see when he started to attack her?
Like he threw her to the ground. I saw.
How did you react when Mr. Combs threw Cassie to the ground?
I feel like me and Deontay like immediately jumped in and tried to stop it because we were all alone in like his. Yeah, we jumped in to try to help.
When you say you jumped in, what did you do?
I feel like we were both trying to get him off her. But in this quick, I I don't know how to do that. And I don't know, Deontay is very small in comparison to Puff, and it happened so fast. But there was some sort of, I don't know, little tornado going on. And at some point, he had Deontay in like a position where I was like scared he was going to like kill him. And I jumped on his back.
What did Mr. Combs do when you jumped on his back?
He threw me like against the wall, like so quick and so easily, like, and I realized we were in real danger.
How fast was this all happening?
It was so fast, but I felt like I was in slow motion, but it was really fast.
What did Mr. Combs do after he threw you against the wall?
He immediately, like, almost like slow motion, like I was sliding down the wall of some sort. The bedroom was to my left, and he immediately ran in, and I saw him grab Cass, and I, like, couldn't get there fast enough. Underneath her bed was, like, this wood, like a bed platform, and the corner was, like, the sharpest, strongest corner I've ever seen. And I just saw him, like, pick her up, and I thought, he's actually gonna kill her. And he, like, slammed her head into the corner, like, of the bed.
What injuries did Cassie have as a result of Mr. Combs slamming her head into the bed?
She just started, like, gushing blood. And she had ended up with, like, a pretty big, like, a scar on her, like, forehead.
What did Mr. Combs do after Cassie's head was split open?
He, like, immediately snapped into this protector survivor mode. He told me, like, to, like, get Kala, who was the assistant at the time, who had a relationship with doctors, get Kala on the phone and tell her to call Dr. So-and-so and tell him that Cassie needs to see them immediately because she was drunk and fell and hit her head.
What did you do after Mr. Combs told you to call Kala?
I called Kala.
Why did you do that?
Because I thought that was the only way to get her help, and because Pot told me to.
Stepping back just a moment, how did Mr. Combs appear when he was in Cassie's apartment?
It's like his eyes, like, turned black. And there was no getting through. I was trying to get him to stop, and it was like she was looking, like, through me. And it was the first time that I guess it was the first time I realized, like, the severe danger that we were actually in. He was, like, completely, like...
Let's get the next question.
Were there other times that you saw that look in his eyes?
Yes.
When typically did you see it?
When he was in a fit of rage, or angry, or violent.
Mia, during the time you worked for Mr. Combs, were there times where you saw Mr. Combs take drugs?
Yes.
Were there times when he appeared high to you?
Yes.
What did you observe in the instance in which Mr. Combs appeared high?
Sometimes he would be having so much fun. He would be the life of the party. Sometimes he would just be he would be really hyper sometimes, and sometimes drooling, and his eyes or sometimes he would be wearing sunglasses.
On what occasions did you typically see him like that?
Mostly partying, like Ibiza or Burning Man or clubs or at a music conference.
On this occasion, when he slammed Cassie's head into her bed frame, did you see any indication that Mr. Combs was high?
No.
Mia, earlier you mentioned that if you and Cassie, when you and Cassie were together, if you would leave without Mr. Combs' permission, sometimes scary things would happen. Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
Was there ever a time that you went to a party without Mr. Combs' permission?
Yeah. One time. Yes, we did.
Who went with you?
Cassie.
Whose party did you go to?
Prince.
When approximately was this?
I think it was either like 2011, 2012, something like that.
Are you estimating?
Yes, I'm estimating.
What happened the night before the Prince party?
I believe it was a big award show of some sort, and Puff had gotten a suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel to, like, get ready.
Were you in that suite?
Yes.
Was Kathy also?
Yes.
What did Mr. Combs tell you to do that night?
At the end of the night, he told me to stay with Cass, like, stay the night with Cass at the hotel.
What, if anything, did Mr. Combs say about what he was doing that night?
He told me to keep her company and make sure she doesn't come to the house because he was telling her that he was going to be with the kids.
Did you expect to see Mr. Combs that night?
No.
So at some point did you learn this party was happening at Prince's house?
Yes.
How did you learn that?
A good friend of ours called and said that Prince was having like an intimate party in his house up the street.
What did you do after you got the call?
Cass and I debated like little kids if we should sneak out of the house for probably, it felt like forever.
Did you go to the party at Prince's?
Yes.
What happened when you got to the party?
We danced on this purple uplit plexiglass covering of an indoor pool and hung out with our friends, and Prince performed on a little table. We were just having fun.
Did there come a time when Mr. Combs showed up to the party?
Yes.
What did you see when Mr. Combs showed up?
I saw his bucket hat come through the entrance and made eye contact with him.
So you and Mr. Combs locked eyes?
Yes.
How did you react after that?
Oh crap. Me and Cass just booked it.
You and Cassie started running?
Yes.
Where did you go?
We ran through the house, which was quite confusing. And we were when you make it out to the yard, there was something across the street that looked I don't know if it was in the woods or not, but somewhere to hide, bushes, and we were trying to run to hide there.
What happened while you were running?
Poth caught Cass.
When you say he caught Cass, what do you mean?
He caught up to her and had her on the ground.
What happened after Mr. Combs got Cassie to the ground?
He started to attack her, but Prince's security swiftly intervened.
Where did you go after you saw Prince's security intervene?
I don't remember if I was hiding or how I got there, but I ended up hiding at a different hotel.
You're not at the same hotel you were earlier that night?
No, I'm not.
Did you hear from anyone who worked for Mr. Combs while you were at the hotel?
The next day, yes.
Who did you hear from?
Vashta, I believe.
And Vashta is part of Human Resources?
Yeah, she was the head of Human Resources.
What did Vashta tell you?
That Puff was suspending me without pay and that I was in big trouble.
What did she say was the reason you were going to be suspended without pay?
She just said that Puff said I was being insubordinate.
What, if anything, did Vashta say about Mr. Combs' behavior the night before?
Nothing.
Your Honor, I'm about to move on to a new topic, which I can do, or it might be a good time to stop.
That's fine. We can take our lunch break at this time. Thank you, members of the jury. As always, do not speak with each other about the case and don't talk to anybody else about the case, and have a great lunch. We will be back at 1:15. All rise.